When you look at this memorandum, you'll realize that Kenyans have not yet come to understand very well on how Parliament operates. What stages that a bill goes through, the first reading, second reading, third reading, and also what happens when a bill is presented to the President for assent. So, Mr. Speaker, we used to have, as a friend of mine said that yesterday, that a colleague of mine, we used to have open days in Parliament where people used to be taken through these processes of the bill making, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very, very important decision that has been made on a very important bill in this country, Mr. Speaker. And you know very well, before we went on recess, how emotive and how controversial this bill was, Mr. Speaker. And there are people in the country, our voters, who believe that this bill is becoming a law, Mr. Speaker. They believe that this bill is going to be implemented. But, Mr. Speaker, and this is an unprecedented situation, because this is the first time since I came to this Parliament 10 years ago that a bill, the President has deleted every clause of a bill, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure whether he has deleted even the title of the bill. We need to check that in the memorandum. But he has deleted every clause of the bill, Mr. Speaker. It's unprecedented. It has never happened. In the last 10 years, we used to have a memorandum that comes to the House where the President could have issues with one clause, 2 or 3 clauses. This is the first time that a whole bill has been deleted. What does that mean, Mr. Speaker? If you ask me as a legislature here, because you have to raise 2/3 numbers to undo what he has recommended, according to me, this bill is, what do they say, dead as a dodo, Mr. Speaker. They say dodo is an animal that used to live in Malaysia, which is instinct now. So the bill is instinct as we...
Malaysia, Madagascar.
Madagascar, you're right, Mr. Speaker, in Madagascar. So, Mr. Speaker, this bill, as we speak, is dead, because I don't think we have the capacity to raise 2/3 in this House, and we don't intend to do, because of the whip, I will not provide the 2/3 from our side, to undo what the President has done. So, Mr. Speaker, it is very important to give clarity to our voters, to give clarity to Kenyans that this bill is dead. We only need to agree on a burial date where we are going to do the burial rites, and we bury it properly and we forget about it. In our area, it's called teruburu. We just do the teruburu, and we finish with this thing, Mr. Speaker.
You've made your point. Okay. Give him the mic.
My last point is this, Mr. Speaker. In your communication also, other than the issues that came back from the presidency, is the issue of how to deal with the supplementary budget 1 and the county revenue allocation. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this House again. Let us look at those things objectively. It is this House that can know where to cut that money from in the budget, Mr. Speaker. And I want to urge the Budget Committee to sit down and look with a tooth comb the budget that was passed and make sure that we remove excess baggage and excess fat from areas that Kenyans don't need money for. Let us not touch issues that are very important to Kenyans. That is the work of the Budget Committee. Let them stand up to the occasion, and the majority leader has been a budget chairman for 7 years. He knows, he can guide them. Let us not cut the money from where we think that the Kenyans will feel paid. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I agree the deletion, and will be presiding over the burial of that bill when it is brought here.
Honorable members, I'm not opening debate on this. The communication is not to elicit debate. But Junet is right. The mischievous and misleading comments about the fate of the bill upon rejection unfortunately came from some of our own members here. Members continued churning out fake news to the public about the fate of the bill, to the effect that within 14 days it was going to become law, which was false. One senior member even sent me a draft bill to repeal the finance bill that was not an act of law. And I politely reminded him that you cannot repeal an existing act. You cannot repeal a rejected bill. And this point comes home to all of us. The finance bill was the genesis, probably the catalyst of the events that we have witnessed in the country. Continuing to churn fake news about the finance bill is to compound the problem in the country. So I urge all of us to follow the procedure. Junet, you are right that it might be difficult for any member proposing to save a clause in the bill to raise two-thirds majority, knowing how this House operates. But under the Constitution and the standing orders, we must go through the entire rigmarole to make sure that the bill comes back to the House. You sit as a committee of the whole, you consider each clause. If there is nobody challenging the deletion by the President, you vote with a simple majority present and voting, meaning our quorum number being 50, half of that is 25. They can vote to 26, can vote to support the President's memorandum. Any one of you who wants to save any part of the bill, including the title, marshal 233 members when it comes so that you can vote to save it. Thank you. Yes, McLeod.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to, on behalf of the Finance Committee, to report that we've already met as a committee.
Issues concerning my people. Mr. Speaker, this is very interesting. Mr. Speaker, sir, you see in Ruaraka, there are several efforts to be able to resolve the issues of interest to my electorate. One of them is intervention of the devolution. The other is the direct intervention of national government. We have seen all this over the years, but until the solution of Constituency Development Fund came, there has been no other attempt at reaching the basic needs of the people as has been with the disbursements of CDF, especially in issues of education and security. I'm aware that there is a tussle, but this tussle is elitist, sponsored by those who think that all the funds should go to devolution. If you think like that, then there would be no reason for division of revenue. When you think about it, Mr. Speaker, once there is division of revenue, which is in the Constitution, the revenue which remains to the national government has authority and has the leeway to be able to spend it in the best manner in which it can impact on the people. So this money called Constituency Development Fund does not come at all from the devolved funds. Professor Undo here would assist me. It does not come at all from the devolved funds. There is division of revenue. Whether I like it or not, at some point we would have to divide revenue, and at some point, whether it is in for 35%, 45%, 50%, or even 70%, some money will have to go to the national revenue and devolve. So we are just talking about the national. So to that extent, when I hear a lot of resistance, especially from the Council of Governors, resisting that devolution would mean more money to them, I think they have just lost concept of the constitutional order in which money is divided. Mr. Speaker, together with the action of this House in looking afresh at the CDF Act and aligning it with the provision of the court rulings, and especially on the Constitution, the Member of Parliament has no chance except mobilizing his people during public participation, and has been said by Professor Oundo. What I want to say, this country must, choose to develop. If they choose to develop, then they must allow those who are able to mobilize communities to be able to ignite enough funds that would stimulate growth at the constituency level. Now, some of us, we earn our salaries, and my salary is enough to pay for the services. As I stand before you here, my salary has been paid. I have no appetite, I have no interest in putting my fingers in monies which I don't have legislation authority over. In fact, one would say that now I don't have money to spend on funerals, on weddings. Maybe at some point I will urge the House to allocate, if at all the economy recovers, so that I can have money to pay for funerals and weddings. But as of now, my legislative duties, my representation duties, my oversight duties are well paid by my salary. So this misnomer that governors think that, of course, if they destabilize CDF or, for that matter, the other house, that then that would give them the opportunity to put their fingers on this tail. In fact, it is the reverse. Mr. Speaker, have you asked yourself why governors, for example, give bursaries to students? If their mandate, it's a constitutional mandate, is about ECD, and the law is ECD, what is this mandate they have that they are exercising to give bursaries? So this is just a confused system. We have to come to order so that monies are concentrated where the Constitution has directed them to be. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kajwang, did you say governors are giving bursary to secondary and university students?
I am shocked, Mr. Speaker, that the bulk, I've never had a governor give ECD, and I'm waiting for governors to be able to give scholarships for the bright children in preparatory 1 and preparatory 2. I'm waiting for that day when a governor will call nursery students to give ECD. The money is paid to secondary students, university students. The other day, somewhere in Eldoret, and the governor, who is now an honorable member of parliament, has never been able to respond to this, that tranches of thousands and thousands of money were paid to some students going abroad. This is a student going to do master's and postgraduate diploma. Why would you want to put public funds to equip a boy who is now going to go into postgraduate training while you are unable to afford schools, primary schools, ECD schools? So I think that governors I do not know what kind of the devil that has walked into our system, but really the devil is walking within our system in some way that we are impervious to reason, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kajwang, the Honorable Ferdinand Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the chance. I think I've been sitting here the whole day, and thank you for this chance. I don't come from